To battleground Toronto now, a new poll of those in the big smoke shows Ford Nation is standing by its man. A Forum Research poll exclusive to QMI agency found Mayor Rob Ford has a 42% approval rating. That rating is virtually unchanged from a poll earlier this month. Only 28% of Ford voters polled say they want the mayor to resign. Looking ahead now to the 2014 mayoral race, 33% said they'd vote for Ford for re-election. For more on these numbers, Michael Diamond joins me from Toronto, a political consultant who worked on Ford's 2010 campaign, but was not a Ford staffer. I always want to say that, Michael. You know, there's President Obama rolling out Obamacare, and his approval is 37% or something like that. And here's Mayor Ford. I don't know what on earth he's got to do to lower his approval rating, 42. He should be jumping for joy.
You know, and I'm sure he is. And
if you could jump,
you know, with Rob Ford, the regular rules don't seem to apply, and we saw that during the campaign. We're seeing that now with the polling, that you know, he's not obviously in an ideal situation. And I will say that the Ipsos poll we saw last week that showed the actual horse race is probably more helpful to predict into next fall. But all things considered, Mayor Ford should be pretty pleased with where things are at the moment.
Well, I mean, even you looked at that Ipsos poll from last week, and that would seem to suggest that things were not as rosy for Ford. There was still a core of support there, and as Ford and his group, I guess, or I'm not exactly sure which advisors are where now, I know they're all moving around, but as Ford and his group sit around and think, should we run? Should we continue to run for mayor? Well, he's got a bit of a base to build on, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Even in the Ipsos poll, the worst case scenario in those the different matchups with various candidates, he was holding 20%. The Forum Research poll, which is more current, has him at a third of the electorate still supporting him. With the events of the last few days of council, you know, picking up the newspaper today and seeing Rob Ford's been mayor in name only, essentially, for only a few days, and there's already talk of taxes going up higher than the 1.1. What is it, 3/4 that he's been firm on. Mm-hmm. So already it's playing into his narrative. You remove Rob Ford, taxes go up.
And I mean, it's poor deputy mayor now, well, I guess he's still deputy mayor, Norm Kelly, who is taking it on the chin. People are now calling him out and suggesting he's this and that, and he's probably just, what the heck did I do? He was just the poor old deputy mayor. Let me ask you about the other potential candidates, because all these polls that look ahead to the 2014 race. Well, right now, it's only Ford and Karen Stintz. Those are the only official. Oh, sorry, and I always forget him.
Councillor
Sognacky, exactly. So just three. We don't have any big names. No Olivia Chow, no John Tory officially in there. But it's Chow and Tory or anybody else as they think whether or not they should get in. Do these poll results they're seeing now maybe affect that decision?
You know, I don't think for Chow it does. Her support base is somewhat different than Ford's, and having Sognacky and Stintz and Ford, who are all perceived as being centrist or right-of-center candidates, it leaves the left open for her. For John Tory, seeing Karen Stintz in the race, who was supportive of his initial run for mayor, and Ford and Sognacky, you know, it starts to get very splintered, and where does someone from the center or right of center, if John Tory is going to take that approach in a campaign? Who knows with John? It makes it difficult to get to that magic number of victory.
I'm trying to get a sense as well. How do we explain the Rob Ford phenomena, the Rob Ford 42% approval, the kind of person who says, you know, what kind of person is this when you phone up and say, do you approve of Rob Ford? Yes, I do. What kind of person is this?
You know, you're hearing anecdotes all over the place of, you know, I send my children to church for values. I elect my mayor to cut taxes. Even, you know, I always talk to cab drivers. I think during campaigns they have a good sense of what's going on. I was talking to a couple this week, and they're all disapprove of the mayor's personal behavior, the drugs, the excess drinking, the language he's used. But, you know, if you ask them, well, who would you prefer, him or David Miller? All four that I talked to in the last couple of days prefer Ford to Miller.
And it goes, well, okay, so I'm trying to think, does this change now the way Ford is not essentially dropping like a stone? Now do we recalibrate how we think about personal ethics, how it interferes with a politician's life? And I've got to think here, and only because the Justice Minister, Peter MacKay, brought it up, he says, I don't think people like Justin Trudeau, who smoke pot while they're a politician, or Rob Ford, he found that behavior troubling. But clearly, maybe this explains also why Justin Trudeau is not getting hammered in the polls, because people don't give a darn what he does in his private life, and it was only some pot.
You know, I think that's just it. And I personally think that those who we elect to make laws should follow all laws, even if they disagree with them, follow them until or amend them. But, you know, the closest example I think we can look at this would be the Bill Clinton impeachment scenario, where he did break a law, he perjured himself, but people looked beyond that because there was good employment, the economy was doing well. They thought he was a good president, so they were able to overlook what they saw as a personal transgression because of good governance.
It's remarkable. I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of these polls come out. Michael Diamond, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.